Hungry Trilobyte podcast would like to acknowledge conventions such as WhedonCon. WhedonCon is a fan-generated charity event for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly, and all Joss Whedon creations. It is scheduled for October of 2020 and is held in Los Angeles, California. Portion of the proceeds benefit the Los Angeles LGBT Center as well as the Ron Glass Memorial Scholarship. See details at WhedonCon.com.
On mic today, we have Eric Morris. How are you doing this fine morning, sir?
Doing good, Aaron. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. I'm glad to have you here. I'm looking over your body of work, and I hate to start off on this note, but I don't think I've seen anything you've been in. I'll be very honest with you there.
Well, that's not the first time I've heard that, so it's okay.
But what I'm really struck by is you have a huge body of work as far as you've been in short films, you've been in independent film. I love that stuff. But you had a heck of a lot of accomplishments before even setting foot on a movie set.
Well, I guess, yeah. I don't know. I mean,
you've been a musician. You've been an entrepreneur. And I love people who have a huge talent stack.
Yeah, well, I've been very blessed, man, for sure. I just, I've always been a musician since I was a little kid. I started playing guitar when I was about 12 years old. And I remember the first time I got up on stage was in junior high school for a talent show. And I played this song, A Wild Thing, and sang it. And everybody laughed, but they liked it. And ever since then, I just had a love for performing. And then I discovered acting later in life, But yeah, I've always been just kind of an entrepreneur, self-employed type guy. I did have a career for a few years, well, many years actually, doing commercial construction, heavy high-rise building, water treatment plant, stuff like that. I actually was a field engineer, and I didn't go to college. It's just something I was happened to be really good at, just doing all the layout for whatever reason. I worked with a few guys early on, and I got really good at it, and I had guys that had college degrees that worked for me, but I got out of that because I don't really make a good employee. So I started my own company, had a rare opportunity in a franchise with a partnership, and that gave me the confidence to step away from a good job. That was back when the economy was just starting to kind of tank in the mid 2000s, 2007-ish time frame, and if it wouldn't been for that, I would have just stayed with my career choice, which was a good job, making $80,000, $90,000 a year, company truck. Had a good job. So, but I was married to those jobs and I couldn't stand it. And like I said, I just don't make a very good employee. So I stepped away and started the franchise, which was not really what I recommend, but it was good to teach me how to be a business owner. Mm-hmm. And after about 5 years of that, I stepped away from that. I just gave it all to my partner, and I started my own company, just not doing the same thing that we did in the franchise. I mean, you're not even supposed to do that anyways. But, we just started from the ground up, and every year we've grown, and we're steady growing now. So it's been good. It's been rough. I mean, being self-employed is, it's tough, but people think they have a security in a job, but you really don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you're more secured if you're self-employed, in my opinion, because you can make your own future.
That's a really interesting point, and it's something I probably should ask because you're probably the perfect person to ask. In the YouTube and podcast fields, it's very new, but there's this mentality that the sooner you can quit your day job, the better off you are. How would you respond to those people?
The sooner you can quit your day job as a podcaster or a YouTuber?
Either.
Oh, man. It's like anything. I guess when something's kind of new and revolutionary, there's a lot of people that find great success doing it. And not to say you cannot do it now, but so many people are doing these their YouTube channels trying to get paid through YouTube or these other TikTok and these other trying to have this, looking for this internet fame. There's so many out there. And there's some people that I watch myself. I enjoy their channel because it's stuff that I'm into, but it's pretty diluted. There's so many. So if you're going to do that, you better have a good niche, something that really separates you from the crowd. Because the last thing we need is just another YouTuber that talks about video games. I mean, you talk about something that, so, I mean, if you're going to do that, we need to talk about a video game that's not even out there, like a whole new type of video game that's something unheard of. I mean, stuff like that. Just anything that's revolutionary, because in the technology field, it's just a different ballgame. It moves so fast. I mean, I'm not in that field, thankfully. I mean, I could never keep up. I mean, so my business is actually a service business. We do waterproofing, foundation repairs. So, every business is really the same it's either you're providing a service or a product. So, it's really, the model's the same. It's just delivered a little different. So no YouTube channel, same way. You're delivering a service. The service is providing information and entertaining your viewers at the same time. So I would say, yeah, go for it if you're young and you don't have a family, because it's probably going to be a long time before you make any money. And I can say that about most businesses, but I got lucky, and became self-employed later in life. When I was younger, I was self-employed. I had a little handyman business, and it was funny. I was back when cell phones first came out, and man, I couldn't keep up, and I was trying to do everything myself, and I could have done much better than I did if I took it a little more serious and hired some people. But I was trying to do everything myself, and it got to where I just couldn't keep up, man. I didn't want to answer my phone. So I learned my lesson from that. But I got married young, and I had a family, and I had to get serious. So I had to get a real job. So that's what I did. I had to do something because I had to take care of them, It was a little risky. And, really nobody taught me really how to be an entrepreneur. My dad wasn't. My mother wasn't. I mean, most of us are not trained that way. We've been taught our whole lives to get a good education, go to college, and get a good job. That's what we've been taught. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I had to break the mold myself. I mean, because I thought the same thing. There again, I'm different because I did have college degree guys that actually worked for me, and I never went to college. But I just happened to be good at something that required a college degree. I think I got lucky and I fell into that position, and that doesn't happen for most people. So, it was a little bit of luck and a little bit of determination, because I used to go and buy books at Barnes and Noble about what I did as a career because I didn't know enough. And then, so I'd go train myself as I worked as an intern for another guy. And that's what I did. I'd spent many nights just studying and trying to figure out what I'm doing. And also, I just had a natural talent for it. I'm just good with numbers and looking at stuff like that. So, yeah, man. So I'd say, yeah, go for it, but have a different niche if you're going to do a YouTube or something like that and try to make money from it.
It's a really neat point you're raising about doing research, giving yourself your own education, putting new talents on your talent stack there, because that's something that I don't think we deal with enough of. We don't give that enough respect in this culture, that if you can gain knowledge just by going out and doing the study, doing the research. We place too much emphasis on degrees and certifications. Like, for example, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Aaron. I didn't mean to.
Sure. I was just going to finish up by saying, if you need somebody who knows how to do X, Y, and Z, do you really want the guy who took 2 years to learn it? Or do you want the guy who figured it out in 2 months?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm kind of in that position right now with my current company. I'm looking to hire an estimator because we're chasing bigger commercial work, and it requires a lot of time. You have to look through specifications from an architect and dig through many different drawings that are not paper. They're all PDF, so it just takes a long time, I've done it, and I've spent hours, countless hours, and I just can't do that as an owner of a company. I got too much going on. So I did hire somebody off of a website called Upwork, another gentleman that provides that service. And so far he's been working out pretty good, but it's expensive, but if I was to hire a trained estimator that went to, Georgia Southern or one of these colleges that teach that, construction management, which I could, but it's going to be they're going to expect a huge salary, and they have zero experience. They have all this classroom experience, but they have no real world experience. So I'm not personally in a position to pay to train somebody So it's kind of tough as a small company because the bigger companies that I used to work for, I mean, they would hire those guys all the time. I mean, they were, they were just, that was what they do. They'd go recruit them. They'd go out to Auburn University, Georgia Southern, some of these bigger colleges that are known to teach construction management or construction estimating. And it's a 4-year degree type thing. And these guys are green as the day is long, man. They don't know anything, zero. So they're just because they went to college, they know how to a little bit about the industry. But once you get in there, it's not what you spend all that money, to get the education. I mean, I'm kind of like what's that guy from Dirty Jobs? I forget his name. Oh man, I love that guy. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry, man.
I don't watch this, so I'm kind of useless to help you out here.
Well, it's Mike Rowe. That's his name.
Okay.
He's big about promoting, people going to trade schools or just going to work and learning something and getting good at it, and I am too. I'm kind of the same way, whatever that may be. I know that some of these commercials I've seen lately on TV, you're talking like, hey, let's, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life and all this jazz. And that's maybe, in my opinion, that's good advice. But at the same token, maybe you need to learn to love what you do, because it may not work out. Some things that you may love to do are, like for me, I'm an artist at heart. I mean, I'm a musician, I'm an actor. And those things are, they don't really pay a lot, man. I mean, there's guys that do make a lot of money in it, but they are like the 1 percentiles, man. It's not the norm. I mean, just to be working in that industry is the goal as an actor or a musician. That means just making a living. That doesn't mean we're living up in Hollywood Hills, I'm talking about just making a living. And I made money doing acting, made good money as a musician. Used to play out all the time. And, I still love it. I miss it. I don't do it because of the money. I mean, I make money in my company. It's a passion thing for me. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. It's something that I like to do.
And that's great. One thing I've also noticed is that we seem to have this mindset in this culture that if you're going to be in construction, don't think about having an acting career. And if you're going to be an actor, you're going to be useless working with your hands. And I like the fact that there are people out there who are like, no, I can do it. Who says I can't?
Right. Yeah, that's the stereotypes. You see that. Actually, I think a lot of people, whatever their real career choice is, it makes them a better actor, in my opinion, if they have the desire, because you really got to want to do this. Because it's super challenging. That has a whole different conversation. But as I would say a guy that was a welder for years. I mean, he's got things that he's experienced and knows a lot about that a real actor maybe that needs to portray a character like him has no clue. And maybe not just a welder, but maybe just a blue collar type guy in general, because it's all the same. I mean, you have your blue collar types and you have your white collar finance types, and that's. That pretty much sums it up. There's a lot of variables between those two groups of guys, but to actually be one, I mean, it's priceless. It's a lifetime of learning. So I'd go for it. I mean, anybody that wants to do something, I say do it if it makes sense. I mean, you only live once, so
right.
You don't get to do this again. It's one shot.
And if you're only living once, do you really want to spend almost a third of your life doing something you don't want to do for somebody you don't like?
Yeah. That's a tough one because I'd say 80% of the population is in that boat. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, as being self-employed, I mean, for me, it becomes a bear. Lately, we've been super busy. All we do is work. I mean, that is it, man. All day. I got to go look at a job today. I got. But I mean, it's good. We're making good money, but my lifestyle is suffering a little bit, and I feel it. I know mentally where I'm at, and it's like, damn, man. It starts getting kind of heavy. But being self-employed, I can change that. Take off to the beach or go fishing or something if I really want to. I'm not going to lose my job over it, so yeah, I mean, being having a job, there's nothing wrong with it, man. It's nothing at all. It's an easier way of life, in my opinion. It is easier because as self-employed, you work really hard. It never ends. And I don't think it ever will end. I mean, even the guys that you see that are just killing it, they have these, multi-million-dollar companies, and they seem to be just so well. They have a house on the beach, and they got one in the mountains. Those types of guys. And but what a lot of people don't see is, how they got there and what it takes to stay there. It just gets more complicated. I mean, just in my short term of things I've been doing, and as a business owner, I'm seeing it now. It's like, man, it's just gets harder and harder. We have to grow to toughen up, to be able to take these punches and not let them bring you down. You could never start from zero and go to, I don't know, somebody who Warren Buffett or somebody that makes a lot of money, you mentally just couldn't take it. There's no way. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So having a job, spending a third of your life in a career you hate, I'd say make a choice to change it. I mean, try. Don't put your family in jeopardy. Don't do nothing stupid. But I mean, at the same token, have a plan. Maybe save your money. That's the best advice I can give anybody. Is try to save some money, have a little nest egg. You'd be surprised what you save $20,000, $30,000, excuse me, for whatever, just save it. That's enough to start a small business, man. You can make it on that. Just be prepared to do whatever it takes to start working immediately, and then go from there. I mean, that's exactly what I did. I had a small business, but we were not making good money. I mean, it was tough because it was a franchise to the area. We used to travel. I would go out of town. What we did at the time was doing emergency water damage restoration. You've heard of ServPro. That's like that. Just where you go out and most of your work is insurance covered related type stuff. So like you busted pipe or something like that. So we did dry outs and just didn't get a lot of work. It doesn't matter how hard the area that we chose, which is where we live, it wasn't a lot of policy holders for the type of insurance connections that the franchise that I was with had. So it made it kind of tough. And a lot of the work that we did do was just by word of mouth and getting out and rustling up our own business. But the whole point of having a franchise in the insurance related world is to have these, what you call direct repair programs. So the work comes from the claims that come from the insurance company. So ServPro, which is another franchise that does the same thing, they're very successful. Most of the franchises are because they have a huge relationship with State Farm. State Farm insurance in the Southeast is huge. Everybody has State Farm. So anyways, long story short, I was traveling because we'd wait for storms to come, maybe a hurricane. I was up in New York when the big hurricane hit Long Island and all that stuff. I was up there working. It was crazy and no power. You couldn't get fuel every other day. I mean, I was living in a hotel with 12 guys and, in a super Jewish community. We stuck out like so bad, man. It was crazy. I was there for over a month. Went to New Orleans once. I went to New Jersey. But the last time I went to Boston, and they had a bunch of ice dams that accumulated on the roofs. They had a really bad snowstorm in March of that year. And I knew that was going to be the last time I'd done this when I went. And we went up there and made a little money and got caught up on all the debt that we had accumulated because I had pretty much invested almost everything that I had. So I got some of that back, and that's when I walked away. And I took what I had accumulated after I paid back what we were indebted, and that's what I went out on a limb with. So, and, we've had some tough times, but we've always overcame, man. So far we continue to grow, and it doesn't look like we're going to stop anytime soon.
Now, somebody tells me a story like that, and I could very see them ending it with saying, yeah, I got burned once, and I'm never, ever going to take that kind of risk again. I'm going to get myself a job flipping burgers and put every cent I make in the bank. Mm-hmm. And yet you turn around and say, no, I'm going to step in front of that camera. I'm going to seek out some publicity. I'm going to get creative. And how does that go? Was it hard, or was it just something you had to do?
As far as
As
starting another company, or are you
or
talking
as far
about?
as getting creative, taking risks in general, getting beyond the skills that you had there, getting into acting.
Well, the acting came in later on, but from a business standpoint, having the courage to roll the dice, again, I mean, it's scary. I had a nice house that I built on land, on like 10 acres of land. I mean, I had children in high school. I had a lot of things that could go wrong. A lot of people depending on me. So it's a huge risk. I mean, the safe bet would have been to stay with that job where I was making 80, 90,000 a year and just hate life.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been the safe bet. But I've always been a risk taker, man. Some guys are not. And if you're not, and you want to see success, I'd say you probably need to learn how to roll the dice and just take a chance, but at the same token, don't put anybody in jeopardy. My take was this: with me rolling the dice and putting my family in jeopardy, I knew I could always go back to what I used to do because I was in high demand for what I did. And the economy had already turned back around. They were building again. I knew I could go get a job. As a matter of fact, we were in Skid Row at one point. I was at a loss. I was out of money, and we had nothing coming in. And I went and met with my old employer, the senior PM, and they were ready to hire me on the spot. They wanted me to come back. They were going to send me to do a condominium project in Nashville. And I was like, this sucks, man. I was like, I've just failed in the business. I'm about to go live out of town away from my family. Yeah, I'm like, damn, And I was all about it, and I just was something kept telling me, Eric, don't do it, man. You'll never be able to live with yourself. So I didn't, and I found a way, and I managed to make it. I mean, I found some other opportunities to kind of keep us going. I just got creative, started looking. I mean, I was doing all kind of crazy stuff, just trying to figure out what I could do, and I found something that worked, and that pacified me, got me past that hump, and after that moment, I knew I was going to be getting out of that franchise one day soon because there was no way I was going to make it. It just wasn't going to happen. But the acting, it came along the way somewhere in that whole while this was going on. Towards the end, I had already started. I just started my company that I have now. My son, one of my younger sons, was much younger at the time, and he had an interest in becoming an actor. He just wanted to check it out. He was really a good-looking kid, big into sports in high school, but he wanted to try it. So I was like, okay. So we went and got him a little agent and had him some modeling headshots done and stuff like that. And started going to classes, and he started doing background work locally in Atlanta. At the time, they were just really starting to get going really good with projects being filmed here in Atlanta. Like the Vampire Diaries were new, they were maybe a season or two in, and Walking Dead, some of these other ones that you've all, I'm sure most of your listeners have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few. Anyways, but him being a minor, we had to go with him. Somebody did, me and my wife. And long story short, I was on set one day with him for a young up-and-coming director that went on to do great things, by the way, but a lot of his talent didn't show up. His background people didn't show up. So he asked me and my wife if we would fill in as a bar scene type thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. Didn't know nothing about it. So afterwards we did it, and he just asked me if I ever done any acting, and he thought I had a good look. He thought I had an important look. That's what he said. And it kind of stuck with me. And my son, he kind of got out of acting, had a few bad auditions, and I think he saw that it just wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he figured that out early on. And plus he was so busy with football, it just didn't really make sense. But I kept thinking about it. And then I went to look at a project for a house, and the guy, we got to talking. He mentioned something about he was from Los Angeles, and he was an actor, and he used to train at this well-known place called the Beverly Hills Playhouse. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. It sounded good. And so I started asking questions, and he could tell that I was interested. So he invited me to his little local acting class that he had. He had like 5 or 6 people that would come. And so I went, and I just never really looked back. I started going every week, and I did for, a few years. And I did several other workshops, and it was a challenge for me because I had to really learn how to take down my poker face because I've been so ingrained my whole life, just the way I was raised. And, a lot of guys are like this too. It's hard to, kind of show emotion when you need to. And it helps me as a person and as a business owner as well when I'm doing sales or something, just to try to show what you're thinking, show what you're feeling, and try to show that instead of just being so, dead, So that's why I fell in love with it. It just was a challenge for me. It's kind of like music, but different, but harder, very similar, the same feeling that I would get from performance and music, the same thing I would get from acting. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense. You enjoy expressing yourself. You enjoy getting out there and working with you, especially because in your other jobs, like you just said, you don't have the freedom to use those emotions as readily as you would otherwise. You don't have the freedom to play with ideas and play with, possibilities and situations.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. I guess that's why, and it helped stretch me, as a person, stretch my emotional capacity, whatever you call it. So it's been a good thing. I mean, it's really helped me a lot. And honestly, I would suggest any up and coming, business owner, YouTuber, or anybody that wants to do something where you're providing a service or even selling a product, whatever, to take some acting classes, take some improv classes, because it will help you dramatically to look at a stranger in the eye and try to have a scene with them and mean what you're saying, but not really. So it really helps you grow personally to where, maybe you can't get in front of a room full of people and make a speech. I've done that more than once, and sometimes it can be tough. And I have to remind myself, just calm down, man, take it easy. It can get away from you. It can seem a little intimidating, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And it's no different when you're trying to sell a job to, like just the other day, I met with a property management company. They manage, I don't know, they got a few hundred properties in the Southeast. They're huge. We started a good relationship with these guys. It would be it could be a big deal. So, but I met with the whole board. It's like 6 or 7 of them. And no problem. I was a little nervous, but not so much that I couldn't do it, So I think the acting training definitely helps with all that kind of stuff. It really just helps you more personally. Some people have it naturally, which is awesome, but I'm just not one of them. So I have to really, I have to work on it. And being an actor, it just the journey never ends. Mm-hmm. So you're always training to become better. And some of your well-known actors that you would know, they would say the same thing. It's just a lifelong journey.
Probably the best example I could give is that about 40-ish years ago, there was a guy. I'm trying to verify this, but the story goes there was a guy who needed his kitchen remodeled, and he called up his local handyman. Guy came over, did his work. They got to talking, and the handyman's name was Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And the guy whose kitchen needed remodeling was George Lucas.
Wow, man.
And that was a job that paid off for him big time.
Yeah, I heard he started working on sets, or he was doing that or something. He was a set builder,
mm-hmm.
And then they were trying to audition for that role of Han Solo, and that all George Lucas could think about. He wanted him to give it a shot. It's what he envisioned was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man. It's just you never know. I never really read up on Harrison Ford's story. I've always loved him in the Raiders of the Lost Ark and all those other movies, but I don't think he was pursuing acting. Not really. I think he was more of a construction guy, but I could be wrong. Whatever.
I've seen from what I've heard from him, and I'm not like huge into his backstory either. But every interview I've read with him, every story I've read about him, he kind of takes the same tack with his work that you're taking with yours. Is like, it's a job. I got to do it right, whether I'm building a table or whether I'm putting on a hat and carrying a whip. He just wants to give it everything he's got, and when the day is done, he's like, okay, I'm cashing my check and I'm going home and having a beer. I mean, that's just
Yeah, that's the way it is. I mean, a lot of people when they become an actor, or maybe they're thinking about it, they think all these other weird thoughts, and
mm-hmm.
you see a lot when you read up on mainstream Hollywood, or you watch these YouTube videos, and you get this idea of what it means to be an actor. It's just not really accurate. I mean, most 95% of people that are actors are people that are passionate about it. They have a regular job. They may work in acting somehow by doing, headshots, or maybe there's something that's related to acting in some kind of way that they scrape by a living.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people have a regular career, or whatever that may be. I will say, me being self-employed has been, much needed for me to chase acting, because as an actor, especially in my level of the game, which I'm still a minor leaguer, I guess. I mean, I'll do some stuff. I mean, in the beginning, I've done some crazy stuff with working with people that really didn't know what they were doing. For instance, I drove to one set one time. It was like a 2-hour drive away. Had a call time in early afternoon. Sat there all day, all night. And they almost burnt the set down trying to get their pyrotechnics correct. We never filmed a shot, and I was going home the next morning at 7 a.m. So if I had a job to do, like a job to report to, I may have lost my job. I wouldn't have made it, so, and then you never know, as an actor, you audition for stuff, and then last minute you'll get a notification that they want you to take this role, and you don't say no, because you'll audition 1,000 times before you get one yes. So if you say no, oh, my schedule won't allow it, you just missed a huge opportunity. I hate to say it. I had that happen to me not long ago. I wasn't for it to be an actor, but it was a cool thing. I had a friend of mine. She works in. She's very well known in the stunt car driving community here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome girl, and it's really nice. She called me on a whim. Wanted to know if there's any way possible I could come and be the stunt driver for Jason Bateman on an episode of Ozark. And I'm not into doing a lot of background stuff anymore, but to be a stunt driver, I'm gonna be portraying Jason Bateman. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would love to say I was on the set of that show just to be there, And I had to say no. I had a training that I could not get away from. I'd already spent all this money. I had it all set up in Tennessee where we were going. I had the hotels. I had everything lined up for my company, and I had to say no. That was tough, man. I wish I'll never get that phone call again, and I know that, and it sucks. But it wouldn't have made or broke me. It was more of a personal thing. I just wanted to say I was filling in for Jason Bateman because he's been around so long.
Right.
It doesn't happen often. So it's being self-employed has helped me as an actor because it allows me to have usually a flexible schedule to allow for the crazy schedule that acting is, because there's always a call time, but there's never going to be a wrap time on that sheet when you get it. Just be prepared to be there all day. That's the best way I'll tell every actor. You can never, your call time's at 7 a.m., just write everything off for the whole day. You might be there till the next morning at 7 a.m.
Well, that is a bummer of a story, and I would feel guilty if I let us wrap up on that. So let's talk about one thing. If you could just set your dreams on the horizon, what would be your dream role? What would you like to do if nothing else becomes an obstacle?
Well, I've said this on other interviews, and it still holds true. I actually, Clint Eastwood is one of my favorite actors as a kid, growing up watching all of his crazy westerns and the good, bad, and the ugly, and him playing such a badass. And I've always had a thing for Clint Eastwood, and him being a director, his films are really great. Some of them have been awesome. And the most recent one about the Olympic bombings here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
The name of it escapes me. I forget the man's name, but it's based off the character that was being indicted for the possible bomber. I talked to my agent, but when I knew it was coming here, I was like, look, man, you got to get me an audition. I don't care what it is. And they said they tried, but it never happened, But I mean, it's not always up to my agent. They can try, but I mean, doesn't mean they're going to do it. So mm-hmm. I guess I like to catch up. The ideal situation would be a movie that's directed and written by Clint Eastwood, and maybe me and McConaughey are partners in the Texas West, man. Maybe we're a couple of bank robbers or something, That would be the ideal role for me.
Well, if I'm ever casting a movie about a Texas bank robber, I will go ahead and keep you on speed dial.
I try to get Matthew McConaughey in there, man. We're going to be sidekicks, man, because he's one of my favorite actors as well.
Awesome. Well, actually, I'm picturing you being his sidekick, but that's.
Whatever it takes, man. So
I'll tell you what. How about this? Where can people keep tabs on you on your adventures on the web?
I don't have a website as an actor, but you can look me up on IMDb, the International Movie Database. Just go there. My acting name is my full name, which is Eric James Morris. So just look for Eric James Morris. Don't look for just Eric Morris, because there's another one. And that's why I have to use my full name, is because of this other gentleman. He's been in the game for a long, long time. He's a well-known coach. Mm-hmm. So Eric James Morris, or go to Facebook, look me up. I do go by Eric Morris on Facebook on my personal page, or my professional page is just Eric James Morris. And then Instagram, same thing, all one word, Eric James Morris. But that's the best way really just to find me and see what I got going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make sure all that gets into the show notes so people can keep tabs on you. And I would like to talk to you anytime, Guy. You've got a lot of great insights.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I appreciate you having me on. I'd love to talk to you again anytime.
Anytime. Thanks for being here, Betty.
Thank you.